Hey, welcome to the Corbellic studio. Today we're going to be breaking down why the projector equals creative freedom. But most importantly, it equals money. That's important. Now, if you're in a position where that's not important to you and you just want to create art, then that's a blessing for you. But for everyone else that's here, money equals financial freedom. Financial freedom equals creative freedom. Creative freedom equals financial freedom. Both of them work hand in hand, but we're going to talk more about that later down the line, all right? But let's break this down today why Projector gives you creative freedom. Now, I am the number one authority to talk about this in the world because I've sold over 17,000 original paintings on eBay alone. As you can see there, I'm always going to bring this up just so I can show my true testimonies where I have also 2,500. You can see there 2,500 feedbacks, all positive, no negative feedbacks. Everything is perfect. And that's just with eBay alone. That doesn't even count how much art that I've sold outside of eBay. So I've sold over $1 million with eBay. I've sold over $1 million outside of eBay. So I could talk about both sides of the game. And eBay beats every single time. But today's lesson, we're going to be just breaking down the projector mindset versus people who think that technique and freehand and you need to be a true artist and you need to spend hours, hundreds of hours on time to just do art. And that's not true at all because everybody cheats in some form. And I don't like to say the word cheat too much because people get an icky feeling about it, but that is how life is. We always feel like, man, it's not fair for this person to win and they're not as smart as me or they didn't work as hard. We all know situations like that where there's people out there who are either in a better position than you, but they just found a shortcut. So instead of calling it cheat, let's just call it shortcut. All right, and we're going to break this down right now. Let's break this down into two separate parts. On this side, we're going to call it technique. And this side, we're going to call it projector. Now, technique is where you feel like you need to have the hand-eye coordination of an artist, of a great artist, in order for you to be able to sell art, in order for you to be an artist, in order for you to be even worthy for people to buy your artwork. And that's not true at all. You are worthy because we are born as creators, as says so in the Bible, right? Is that we were all creators. We were made in the image of the Creator. We are creators. So technique, let's break technique down. Wait for perfect idea. Wait for perfection. Let's just put wait for perfection. Okay? Here, you're waiting for perfection, and that moment is never going to come. Picasso said this famous line where he said, someone asked him, how were you able to produce so many pieces of art within your lifetime? And he says that everybody has it in reverse. Everybody's waiting for the inspiration moment in order to do art, in order to create art, when really it's about the action. It's about having the actions first, and then the inspiration comes. You're going to find the motivation. You're going to find the inspiration as soon as you do the actions. When you're going to be creating art, it is the same psychological mindset as when you go to a gym or when you work out or when you exercise on your body. You don't want to go at first, but then it's really the momentum of starting off. Everything is more difficult when you start off. You go to the gym and you just do that first rep, then you're ready to keep doing the next rep. You're ready to keep on going. Painting is the same way, and that's also success. It's really just the first step. But the first step is just blinding your mind because you have so many psychological factors that's holding you back with fear, with excuses. The first thing that I remember they taught us in psychology was that your brain is always going to choose the laziest route, the easiest route. So as long as you remember that, that's where it comes. There's never going to be a perfect time. So if you're not going to be using some type of shortcut cheat, then you're going to have a hard time just with this first step right here, because you're going to be waiting for perfection. There is no perfection. We are waiting for the imperfections, especially in 2025. You have an advantage over everybody right now, because I'm showing you it's all about the imperfections and it's about the authenticity, which is you. There is no perfection. The next thing that's in the mind when you're thinking about, oh, you have to have technique as an artist and I don't want to use a projector. You're thinking about all the hours spent. You think that you need to create art for hours. Hours, art spent. Well, in order for me to sell this painting and that somebody's going to buy it for $1,000, they're going to buy it for $100. I need to equate how much my job, who hates you, by the way. No, okay, maybe they don't hate you, but they're thinking about their best interest. They're thinking about their top dollar at the end of the fiscal year. You're thinking about, oh, well, if I make this much at work, I make $40 an hour, $30 an hour, then I need to also make that much an hour when I'm creating art. And I'm not worthy of a paycheck for somebody to spend $100 for me or $1,000 because I only spent 20 minutes on the art. 20 minutes, let's put that there. And that's not true either. Another famous line that Picasso said, a lady came to his table, or so the rumor has it, a lady came to his table, she asked him to create a piece of art on a napkin. He did it under 5 minutes, 10 minutes, something like that, right? It was a very short time. And he says to her, okay, that's going to be $3,000, or maybe it was $5,000. And she goes, oh my gosh, why so much? It only took you 3 to 5 minutes to do that. He goes, true, but it took me a lifetime to figure out how to do it in such a short period of time. We are going to shortcut that time period by using the projector to get to the results. It's not about the methods. It's not about the technique. It's about the result of how we get there. So that's one thing that we're always going to be talking about. No one really cares about the buildup of what you say that you did, the hype and the glamour and all that stuff. A lot of artists in the past, they were using projectors, they were using shortcuts, but they would always have this allure story. You know, it's just like a magician. Magicians really use, their whole career is a cheat. I'm going to put that here as well. Who was it? Houdini. I hope I spelled that right. Houdini, when he died in his deathbed, he said that he felt like an imposter. He felt like that he was a cheat. He was just a bad person, because his whole career was understanding what the shortcuts were, but he was very good on being a salesman, that he spent hours and that he was this great magician and that he did all of these tricks. No one really cared about how the secret was, how Houdini did it. Only thing they cared about was the results. So let's put that here as well, the results. So a lot of the great artists in the past, what historians are finding out now, is that they were really great on this salesman story of how they got to the end product. But really, they were using shortcuts and they were using projectors of their sort too back then. They were using mirrors. They were using obscures. Leonardo da Vinci was using an obscure. Vermeer was using a mirror. All of the greats were using some form. So anytime you go to a museum and you see how did they do things so great, they all had a form of how they got the shortcut, but they just didn't talk about it because then it wouldn't sound so great. Now, the third thing that when people think about technique, they're thinking about everything, right? They're overthinking. Now, the reason that you're overthinking when you're trying to be a technician, you're overthinking because you're thinking, how can I reinvent the wheel? How can I make something original? And you can't make anything original because everything under the sun has already been done. I mean, you got cavemen who were doing cavemen drawing. You got Egyptians who were doing hieroglyphics, and you got the Greeks who were doing all kinds of forms, and then you got the Sumerians who were doing their type of artwork. Nothing new is under the sun. Nothing has already been done. So don't think to yourself that you have to recreate the wheel, because then you're not going to be able to recreate, and then you're going to be feeling guilty that someone is going to judge you. We're going to put that here. Criticism. You're going to be having fear of criticism. You're going to be having fear of criticism because you're scared that someone is going to judge you on not recreating the wheel, and that you didn't have your own original thing. You're going to have someone who goes, hold on, you used a projector and that looks similar to whatever you're trying to do. It doesn't matter. Let me tell you, using a projector, I've painted Abraham Lincoln, I painted George Washington, I painted Mona Lisa, I painted the rebirth of Venus, I painted Nikola Tesla, I've painted Elton John, I've done President Trump, I've done President Biden, Princess Diana. The list goes on. It doesn't matter. You can't reinvent the wheel, but you can use it in your own image. You have the projector of the dimensions, and you have the references there. Don't even worry about it. So you're going to be in your head of criticism. But under criticism, here, I'm going to leave this here because this is very important for me. This is why eBay is important. Because to avoid criticism, you could be anonymous. Let's put that here too. Anonymous. With eBay, you could be anonymous and you don't have to worry about criticism. You could just get past that whole social media projector thing. It doesn't matter, because on eBay, they really just care about the results. They're not going to research who you are, that you just started doing art, that you're not an artist yourself. It doesn't matter. It's just about you creating the art and the results. Okay. Now, the next thing that you're going to be thinking about after criticism, here we go. You're going to think that you need validation. And that's ridiculous. When you're thinking about technique, you're going to be thinking that you need validation from your friends, from your family, from somebody else, that you could keep going forward. In order for you to keep going forward with creating original art that took you hours to do, you're going to be thinking in your mind that you need some type of validation from people telling you, hey, that looks great. Here's 100 likes. Here's 50 likes. And nowadays on social media, as we talked about in the last video, when we were breaking down how eBay beats emails, but also social media, you're going to be equating your likes, the clicks, the dopamine of the clicks, how many people put likes on your artwork, and you're going to think that is synonymous with your artwork. Your artwork's not great unless you get so many likes, and they're all free likes. These aren't even people who are purchasing your stuff. So you're going to be thinking validation when you're creating with technique instead of just using the projector. This way, it just gets out of your head. Another thing that you're going to be thinking about, or another thing that's going to eat up your time, is you're going to create less. You're going to create less, and you're not going to feel free as an artist. But even if you don't want to be an artist, how this eBay art community is for, even if you don't want to be an artist, you're going to create less because you're going to think that you need to recreate the wheel. Now, if you have so many original ideas, how many times does original ideas come? Once in a lifetime. So how are you going to do so many of them where they're just going to be so many that you need to create in a day or in a week? It's going to be very difficult for you to get out of your head and feel like you could just create whatever you want. If I really wanted to be a great artist and do Mona Lisas and try to think of these grandeur gallery pieces, I can do that. But at the same time, it's just going to eat up a lot of my mental energy. And I just love to create. So a lot of the times, the pieces, I could say to myself, maybe they're not my taste, or maybe that it's not the best type of work. But guess what? I'm showing up to work and I'm creating. And Your buyer won't understand the difference either, because they're still going to be buying your artwork because you're creating. But if you're on this mindset where you're creating less and you're creating only one painting per week because it's taking you, like what? Let's say that it's taking you 20 hours for one painting. You know what's going to happen? I'm going to tell you what's going to happen that you don't know about. What's going to happen is you're going to create this Mona Lisa for 20 hours or even longer. 20 hours is if you're a great artist and you're just experienced with doing it. But what's going to happen, you're going to spend all this time creating this beautiful painting. And regardless of what happens, you're not going to be satisfied with the results of the reciprocation of what you get from the market. Either it sells at a dollar amount that you're not happy with, either it doesn't sell, it doesn't get enough clicks, it doesn't get enough likes, enough people from your hometown, enough people of your family members, they didn't like it, enough people didn't say anything. You're not going to be happy because you didn't get the reciprocation of what the work that you put into that Mona Lisa painting that you put in. And then you're going to get disappointed, and you know what else is going to happen afterwards? You're not going to feel encouraged, and you're not going to feel motivated. You're going to be back here waiting for perfection. You're going to be back here in your mindset where you don't want to create the next painting. And that's going to suck. It's going to suck, and it's not going to feel good at all. So that's another reason why technique is just not real. It's outdated. Another thing, you want to focus on looking professional. Focus on being a pro. You want to focus on looking like a professional because that's what all of the gurus, coaches, and galleries that's been around since the 1980s and the early the 90s are telling you that you need to approach in 2025, in 2026. We're going into 2026, and you're over here focusing on old aspects of what they're telling you that you need to be doing. That stuff is outdated, it doesn't work, and it's a waste of time. And these are people who have problems in their own business. They've never created art. They're a paycheck away from closing their business, or they're close to being bankrupt. They're not selling any art, and they're not moving traction. They don't have any conversions. So the things of what people are trying to tell you what looking like a pro is, what the hell is a pro? Having your profile on Instagram so you can compete with galleries, or you can compete with people who are in galleries but their work is not selling. Here, I'm going to give you an exercise. In your local town, in your local city, walk down to your urban city and go to a local gallery. You know, maybe whatever the best gallery is that's in your city, in your town. Walk in there and see the artwork. You know, there's no harm in that. Just look at the artwork. And then if you're inclined, you can even ask the gallerist, how long has the artwork been there? The artwork is not selling. People like to go to the gallery openings for events, and they like to, you know, participate in the social aspect of the free likes, but they're not purchasing them. And they're just sitting there on the wall. So here, a lot of times, these gallery artists that are online and that either are doing it the technique way so they can make these larger paintings, yeah, it looks nice that it's on these nice big white gallery walls, but guess what? No one is buying it. And by the time that it finally does get sold, they might as well have got a job at McDonald's. Or, you know, they could work with you with one of your businesses and making hot dog pancake flippers, right? That's an inside joke if you watch one of the early videos where I'm talking about people who hire these coaches to scam them, or, you know, try to figure out their business, and they don't know what their business is. And their business is, I could make you $1 billion off of selling hot dog flipper pancake item, whatever your thing is. It doesn't matter. No, they can't. They're not telling you what the product is. I'm telling you what the product is. I'm telling you where to go, where to sell it. I'm telling you how to get to that result. All right, so the next thing. Believes in quality. Now, this goes back to what we were talking about earlier when we're talking about believes quality over quantity. You're so caught up into making that one Mona Lisa that you're going to be discouraged when you don't have the results from it. You're going to be thinking to yourself that the world is going to react to how long you've produced the artwork. Well, you know what? I don't have to produce 20 to 30 art pieces where I'm just using the projector and I'm just going with it. I'll spend all of my time onto one painting. I'll spend a whole week on it. And you're going to be discouraged when the world is not going to reciprocate the hours that you put into it. And you're not going to want to do another one because you're going to think that you just worked for free and it's not even worth it. And you're right, it's not worth it. You just wasted all that time on doing one piece. And you're going to be so caught up in that one piece where it's not even going to be original. You know, anytime people get caught up into spending so many hours on one painting, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look original. It doesn't look like you have the confidence where you didn't care. And that's also kind of where, to be off topic, manifestation comes from. A strong part of manifestation is that you have to not care what the results are either way. Either you can live with it or you can't live with it. It's fine. Either way. You still have to put the work in, but you're fine with whatever the results are. But if you just focus on quality in one piece at a time or two paintings at a time, you're not going to manifest what you want because you have so much energy that you're trying to control. The moment that you stop trying to control something in life, the moment that you have more success. And the way to let go and have more success is to go with the projector route, because that way you're producing more and you don't care. I've been at this route too many times in my professional art career. That's why I'm able to talk about these things after selling 17,000 original art pieces. I'm able to talk about it because these are the moments that I've gone broke in my career. These are moments that I've almost lost everything. Is that I tried to make Mona Lisas and I tried to be perfect. I tried to have these moments where I think people are going to care about the results or the method and how long it took me, and it doesn't. But also what happens when I spend more time into these pieces during technique, people see that it looks too pretty and it looks too technical. If they want technical, then they could just buy a printer or they could order these type of projects from a Chinese factory and they could get it. The reason that they're coming to you is because you're making the mistakes. People want to buy the mistakes. I know it sounds crazy, but it's not. That's how great art sells. People want to see the flaws, but they also want to see the creativity of it, where the boldness and the confidence in your brush strokes, and that the mistakes that you're making, but that you're okay with it because you're manifesting your goals and your success within your art by not caring. You can either live with it or not live with it. But when you're too much and you're trying to control every action, it comes out in it. You know, Michelangelo also said something similar when he talked about creating the statue of David. He said that the art was already there. David was already there. He just had to show up. He just had to show up and do the work. And that's approach that I take about art. I'm not worried about the end goal, the results, because it's already there. David is already there in whatever form it's going to be. There's nothing that I can do to either remove or add to. It's already there at the end, whatever that's going to be. I'm in the process. I have to show up. That's what the work is. So that was kind of to go off of a philosophical and psychological tangent right there, but it makes sense, and I hope it does make sense to you. You know, just to go to a deeper level and how I resonate with these things when I'm creating, but also when I think about business itself. All right, now we're going to talk about using the projector. Okay. Now, when you're using the projector, it gives you creativity. You know, the projector, it allows you to be creative. It allows you to be creative because you're not thinking about the dimensions, you're not thinking about the shadows, you're not thinking about what some art school said about having to have the face cut this way and the other what is it, the diagonal and the horizontal splits of the face and the symmetry when they're staring this way and the eyeball is going this. Who's got time to be thinking about that? If you're thinking about that while you're being creative, then you're not being creative. You're thinking about science, you're thinking about engineering, you're thinking about architecture or something like that. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about being creative like a child. It's already inside of you. And we've gotten so lost in society where we believe that these things are not inside of us, that we're all not great, and that we can't be great and we can't create beautiful pieces of art that's already inside of us. We don't have to go to art school. I didn't go to art school. I don't have any kind of formal art training. But somehow I've sold over millions of dollars in art, 17,000 original paintings on eBay alone. It's already inside of us. It allows you to be creative because you have the dimensions that's there. If I go to an art class, if I go to an art school, or even if I go to some of these art gurus online who's talking about selling me their technique of art, I'm going to compare myself and try to be them. Your brain is naturally going to compare yourself to try to be that artist. And it's going to throw you off because then you're going to feel bad that you're not that artist. So then you're going to say to yourself that you're not creative or that you're not a good artist or that it's failing for you and that you're not going to succeed. I'm here to tell you that you are going to succeed in whatever art that you do make. Not about the methods and me teaching you the methods. That's the difference. I'm the only one online who's talking about that it doesn't matter. So it gives you permission. That's the big one. It gives you permission. You have total permission to do what the hell you want to do. You have total permission to do whatever the hell you want to do when it comes to art and when you have a projector. If you want to make a cartoon character, you can make a cartoon character. If you want to make Popeye or Mickey Mouse or Snoopy doing something off of a bridge and you can do that yourself. You can do whatever you want to do and nobody can tell you anything. But also with this is that, back again, you're anonymous. You're anonymous. It doesn't matter. No one knows. You don't have to copy references. You don't have to copy any references. I can't do as many paintings that I've sold. If you give me a picture of someone, a dog or a cat or even a cartoon character, I don't have hand-eye coordination to look at it and draw like that. I just don't. And a lot of people don't either. And that's okay. I'm not Leonardo da Vinci, but then come to find out later in my life that Leonardo da Vinci didn't even really have hand-eye coordination like that either. He might have had a photographic memory, but he didn't have hand-eye coordination to actually match what you're looking at. I mean, a lot of our brains work different. So your brain is not going to be able to, your muscle memory is not going to be able to go off of what you see. And then you're going to be mad. Oh, I'm a loser. You're going to start judging yourself. So there's no judgment. Let's put that right here. There's no judgment. There's no judgment on yourself. Even though we are going to be listing all of our artwork, and I'm telling you to work fast and how we create in the eBay art community, I want you to have a mindset where no one's going to see this but us, because you don't have to post any of this on social media. You don't have to post this online. No one has to know about this in your whole family. This could just be our secret. But also, with a projector, proportions. We talked about this as well. The proportions is just, I don't have time to think about where the nose is at, the eyes are at, and the lips are at. If I could just have the proportions right, I can create whatever color that I want to do, and you can do that as well. That's why this is not an art class. I can't teach you how to be something that you already are, and I'm not going to lie to you like every other art coach that you're not what you are. It's already inside of you. Only thing I can tell you is use the proportions. You could use the proportions to either outline it, start with the outline, right? And then on the inside, you could choose whatever color you want. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be the exact same color of whatever the character or the portrait or whatever you're doing, cat, dog. You can use whatever color you want. And you know what? The funkier that you get with it, the more neon, exotic color and the difference that you get, the more than likely people are going to pay more money. They're going to bid higher because it's something created that they haven't seen before. We're at a point in time where art is so saturated, people feel like they've seen everything. And they've seen everything so pretty of like what someone's face is supposed to be and all these other designs. But you can do whatever you want. Just make sure you get the proportions right. Choose whatever color that you want. It's up to you. You're the artist, not me. No, we all are. All right, so another thing is that it's not cheating when you're creating with intention. We're not cheating. We're just creating faster. I'm going to put that underneath this. It's not cheating that we're creating faster. Don't feel like you're cheating, because I'm going to tell you, the successful people in the world who are able to take care of their families, and when by the time that they retire from whatever career that they're doing, or if they're doing art or anything like that, anything, whatever, they found a shortcut to take care of themselves and take care of their family. And when they're done, their family's going to be taken care of, and they've been able to elevate themselves by making some money. Do you think that you're doing some moral high ground by not using some type of technique? Why? By not using some type of code or something that you could be doing to take care of yourself? That you could be bringing in some extra income? And we're not talking about something that's going to take months to do. We're not talking about something where it's going to take a year to do. With this right here, if you do technique, this is going to take you a year at minimum, but years to build up a portfolio for people to know who you are. But also just, a sheer perseverance and confidence to even go that route. With this right here, you could have the time and you could be making the money as early as next week. Click the link down below, go into the program. I'm going to show you how you can do everything from scratch. I set everybody's account up from scratch. Only thing you got to do, you could copy from my account. I show people how to do it. You can take my templates. I show people how to do it. You can do it too. And then you can earn your money back. You can earn your money back within next week. And you don't have to think about it because you're just showing up and you're just using the projector. Why wouldn't you do it? I wish I would have learned this years ago. I'd have been so well off. I'd have been, who knows, maybe I wouldn't even have been doing this. But this is just so important for me right now, because everything that I've learned and all the ways how I bump my head, how I can show you the game so you don't have to bump your head and figure out things in life. You ever just say to yourself one time and be like, man, I just need one opportunity to get up a little bit, and then from there, I'll be able to project and do other things that I want to do with my life. No one's saying that you have to do this full time. No one's saying that you have to make a career out of this. You don't have to. But this right here could give you an ability to just get one step up in your life, even if you're working a full-time job or whatever you're doing, to make that income. And then you could go on to the next thing of your life where it could get you a head start. So that way you could be in the business mindset of making money this way right here. And it's not months later, years later, it's right now. You can start making money next week. Tap in with me. Click the link below. The next thing right here, what we're talking about when we're saying not cheating, is just being smart. One of the things that I always think of, what my mom always says, is work smarter. and never harder. I'm pretty sure you guys knew what that last word was going to be, because you wouldn't be in here if you weren't smart. That's the reason that you're in here, is because you're smart. And you already know the game. You know the game, but you just know that there's something else to it. And you need somebody like me to give you permission to play the game. Play the game. Take advantage. These are the steps right here. Work smarter, never harder. I always say that to myself whenever I'm working in different aspects. I'm saying, what could I be doing to work smarter? What am I doing wrong right now where I'm not thinking about the whole process, and I'm not thinking about something where it's taking me too long and I need to be working smarter? And this is what I came up with. This is what I came up with 8 years ago, because I was doing technique, but it was taking me too damn long. It was taking me too long. I'm not going to lie. I'm a lazy artist. I don't care. But like I said, in psychology, the brain always chooses the easiest way out. So I'm too lazy to try to recreate the wheel and try to do new stuff. I don't want to go that route. That's going to be too much pressure on me if something does go well within an art piece, and then now I have to create another art piece and recreate the wheel using technique. I can't do it. In comparison, I know how to use my mind and choose cool projects that I'm interested in to do on the projector. And then even if not, it doesn't matter. Because how I teach in the art community program is that I teach each painting that we work on 10, 12 minutes. That's how long it takes. Because as long as you're focused on creating in that short amount of time, you're going to create some really cool mistakes. You're going to create cool mistakes that you don't even know is there. The genius lies in mistakes. All right, so that was the breakdown right there. Hope you were able to take some notes. You learned a lot. Just a breakdown of that's anything in life, either if it's technique or the projector. Always think about working smarter, never harder. It doesn't have to be about art when we're talking about projector. That's just something we're kind of breaking down in this course, but really it's about the mindset of figuring out what shortcuts that you could do in your life to work smarter, because everybody else is working smarter. The billionaires, the millionaires, everybody's out there hustling, working smarter. Why shouldn't you? Because you want to take the high ground. There is no moral high ground of being broke and figuring things out or struggling. So get in the program. I set everything up for you. I show you how to do everything. I tell you everything that you need to get started, and you can be making money next week. Click the link below. We're here at the eBay Art Community. All right, I'm gonna check you guys out on the next video, and I'm out.